Had the story first yesterday about Walker Howard going into the transfer portal. Mike, good afternoon. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Hey, glad to be with you, Charlie.
All right.
It's kind of a bittersweet deal yesterday for sure after covering Walker since he was a ninth grader.
Yeah, that's where I want to start because I know you have known you lived in Lafayette for a long time. You've known the family, you've known the kid. You did a really touching video with him, helped him do that when he committed to LSU. That included his late mother. So yesterday, a bittersweet, but was it expected? At this point, we knew that there. Three quarterbacks in the room was not what anybody expected 6 months ago, but did you expect this?
Well, I said it on my show last night that I actually had the transfer portal story written since the Tuesday after the SEC championship game, and then it looked like after a meeting with Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan that things were going to be a bit better. And I just think it's been an agonizing back and forth, and Walker and Jamie and playing the scenarios and how it was going to work, how the reps were going to be distributed in spring. And I just think they figured that there was no way that the caliber of the reps with the twos in spring football and maybe even some ones that were going to be given to Nussmeier were going to be equal. And and then you also have to factor in, okay, and if you do stick around, and I see a real scenario where Nussmeier, it doesn't go anywhere regardless of what happens in the spring. If you're the number 3 quarterback, are you back with the scout team in the fall, which is on the opposite practice field from the offense, or are you just the number 3 guy standing over off to the side? Because once the season starts or you get to game week, the number 2 quarterback really doesn't get a whole lot of reps at practice either. So what does the third guy get? Because you would assume Ricky Collins would be running the scout team. So and then Colin Hurley comes in at midterm. So this scenario was not something that the staff, you can blame them. You can't blame them. They didn't expect both Daniels and Nussmeier to be back, and so when we were running the scenarios, because Daniels originally signed with LSU, it was supposed to be a 1-year deal, and he was going to go pro. And we thought all season, would Nussmeier be the one that would hit the portal?
Yeah.
And but that's why these quarterback scenarios you can run them in your head and backwards and forwards, and there's always just some surprises. Then you got the old timers, and they say, well, why didn't the guy stick around? And if I was a quarterback, I love LSU so much I'd stick till maybe I could get an opportunity as a 5th-year senior to finally be the starter. And these kids just don't do that these days.
No, I said that in the open that the scenario that they played from 2003 to 2007, with multiple successful quarterbacks, that's where they were all on the same roster at one time and progressed through. That's not going to happen again. Of course, Mike, the real fear for LSU, and I don't know what Brian Kelly is supposed to do here. He can't divide all of these reps up into 3. Is that if Nussmeier doesn't win the job, that he would consider transferring, and you end up with a situation where you're down to 1 experienced quarterback. But I don't know what Brian Kelly's supposed to do about that either, other than say, listen, we're going to let you practice in the spring. We're going to give you an opportunity to go play. He can't name Nussmeier the starter right now to guarantee him a spot. So other than just say, hey, go play, go compete, I don't really know what his other options are.
No, it's like I said, you can't blame him. I know initially when there was a meeting in early December, like he did with every LSU player, exit interviews, and obviously Brian Kelly did a fantastic job because he didn't have as many kids hit the portal as you think. Of course, it's not over with yet, and there's probably 1 or 2 more they're going to get in there, but most of the ones that have gotten in there have been expected, except for maybe 1. Scratching head on Tolan a bit, but yeah, I don't blame Brian Kelly or Joe Sloan at all. Look, you thought the scenario was really going to put Nussmeier was going to be the one in the pinch, but I think overall what this has done is the free COVID year is just really caused these issues, not just for LSU, but everybody. And so, I mean, Jaden Daniels' eligibility should have been up, but COVID gave him another year.
Yeah, there's a lot of such scenarios like that. We went through 5 teams in next year's top 15 are dealing with transfer quarterbacks that are working on a COVID year, that have a COVID year that is in play here. Mike, where might Walker Howard end up?
I think I'm about 98, 99% certain he's going to end up at TCU. And I think that's partially, people were shocked, but I honestly believe that during the original recruiting process that TCU actually finished second to LSU. A lot of people thought maybe it was Notre Dame. I believe it was TCU. They actually loved that visit up there and liked what they saw. But I think a big part of it too is because of his love for LSU. He doesn't want to go in the SEC, and but I know I've been hearing. I've got reports of. I know Ole Miss and their group up there are offering some huge NIL deals to try to convince him to consider Ole Miss. He's got a great relationship with Napier at Florida, but I think it's TCU.
Yeah, so in his recruitment at TCU, that was all under Gary Patterson's staff, correct?
Yeah.
So what kind of
they love the campus, the area, and
yeah. What kind of relationship does he have? Any relationship with Sonny Dykes? I guess would be my question.
Yeah, I'd have to find out who those guys are, but one thing I've known since Jamie's got connections to so many of these guys. Guys going back to the Hallman years. He knows a lot of these coaches at different places.
Yeah, Mike, does this end on good terms, or basically this came down to a timing thing and some unforeseen scenarios as far as the quarterback room? Again, I know when something like this happens, the instinct is to say somebody's got to be at fault here. Somebody lied to somebody. Somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. Somebody is acting irrationally. I don't get the feeling that happened, but I don't know. Do you?
I think, look, a lot of ears perked up when Brian Kelly said, I've got 2 elite quarterbacks coming back, and Walker Howard, kind of self-correcting. I think that raised some eyebrows in Lafayette, but I don't think that was the overriding deal. I think it really, and then maybe there's some little stuff out there in NIL deals that somebody got and the other one didn't get, and I just think overall that the biggest deal is the ability to be on equal footing to actually compete for the number 2 spot. It's not about being the starter next year. Jaden Daniels is that guy. But it's, being able to get the same caliber of reps in spring football as Garrett Nussmeier. And that was not going to happen.